We continue with our discussion on Advanced Financial Modeling Unit 2, and in this particular video we're going to talk about option payoff modeling, right? So we will do a quick recap of what options are. We've already covered this in FM Unit 3. So for further reference, I would recommend that we also go and quickly refer to that video. But basically, a quick recap of options, and then we try and create a sheet where, let's say, if we are modeling for an option and we change a few parameters and we change a few set of numbers, let's say we want the output as the graph or chart of the option payoff. That's what we are looking at doing, right? Now, for all practical purposes, let's do a first quick recap of options. Now, if you remember what were futures, future was a contract where the buyer and seller just enter into a contract of executing a transaction on a set date at a set price. So in the case of a future, person A can tell person B that A will buy from B Infosys or one share of Infosys at the price of 1100 on last day of this month, right? And they've said at 1100, you can buy at 1100, right? B says I will sell at 1100, so that's kind of fixed in this contract, right? In the case of an option, it says A can buy from B and everything else remains the same. Now the keyword here is A can, which means there is an option, there is a choice which is available with A, right? Now when will A buy from B at 1100? When market price is greater than 1100. If market price is less than 1100, let's say market price is 1050, then why will A buy from B at 1100? A can buy from the market at 1050, right? So only if the price is something like 1200 will A buy from B at 1100 and thereby make a profit of 100 rupees, right? Now in this particular case, the option is with A. So A is the holder or the buyer of the option. B does not have an option. B is the seller of the option. So B has to honor the commitment if A decides to execute this option, right? So obviously A has a huge power because at the end of the month A will know what the price of Infosys would be, and then A would choose to kind of execute the contract. So what is happening is A will have to buy this option from B so that later A can buy the stock from B, right? Today, this power or this option that is there in the hands of A, B is not going to give this for free. So B is going to charge a small premium. That premium could be, let's say, 10 rupees. So in this case, B can only make 10 rupees. A can only lose 10 rupees. After this, A will only win, right? And that will happen if the stock goes above 1100. If the stock goes below 1100, then A will forego the 10 rupees and do nothing after this, right? That's basically the definition of an option. There are some terms that are there. So the price at which we are running the contract is the strike price or the exercise price. The underlying price, in this case the Infosys price, is the spot price. What A will have to pay B for this choice, we will ask 10 rupees for this choice. That's the premium of the option. So that can get calculated. The market has it. Option writer is the person who sells the option, also known as short the option. This in our case is B. Option holder is the person who buys the option. That's A. This entity is said to be long the option in our example, right? Now there are two kinds of options. We saw an example where we said A can buy from B at 1100. We can also have an option which says C can sell to D at 1050. Now when will C sell to D at 1050? When the price is less than 1050, right? Then C will buy at 1000 and sell to D at 1050 and then make a profit. If the price is more than 1050, then C will sell in the market at that higher price. Why will C sell to D? In this case, because A can buy, A can call from B, this is known as a call option. So A is the buyer, B is the seller of the call option. In this case, C can sell or C can put the stock to D. So C is the buyer of the call option of the put option and D is the seller of the put option, right? We also remember that the payoffs would appear something like this, right? So if you are long call or you are buying a call, you can only lose limited amounts, but you can win unlimited amounts. We will see how this works, right? If you are short call, which is the seller of the call, this is a zero sum game. So when the buyer loses, you win. And when the buyer wins, you lose exactly the same amount, right? This is a case of unlimited gain, and this is going to happen if the price of Infosys crosses 1100. On the x-axis, we have the stock price, right? On the y-axis, you have the P&L, and if the price of Infosys crosses 1100, then the seller of the call option is going to lose money, right? Now let's model this. Consider a call option on a stock with an expiry this month. Its details are given below. Strike price is 2500. This is a call option, which means you can buy at 2500. Now, when will you buy at 2500? Is if your market price is greater than 2500, right? If it is 2400, why will you buy at 2500? In which case, you have already paid some premium, right? That premium is 25 rupees. Your P&L will be zero because you will not exercise the contract. So your total gain or loss is minus 25. If the price is 2600, you will buy at 2500, thereby your profit being 100. You already paid a premium of 25 and 75, and then so on and so forth. It will keep rising. And if it is 2300, then the same argument will apply. But if it is 2700, your profit will keep increasing, right? This will keep increasing as you go along, right? Let's try and create a sort of a table for this using Excel. And once we create that table, we will also create a chart for this, right? So let's go to Excel. Let's put in the data that we have at this point of time. We have the, let's say option type, and we'll say call, right? We can also say what is the transaction, but here we are assuming it's a buy transaction. We'll put the seller's payoff in a separate chart or a separate this thing. Then we can take the strike price, and the strike price is, let's say in our example, 2500. We will say something called as step. What is step? I'm going to look at various profiles with a 50 rupee difference, right? So I'm going to look at 2450, 2550, 2600, 2650, 2700. That step or change in the strike prices that I'm going to look at is going to come from this. And there is some tenure, whatever the tenure is, that's okay. I will also type in the premium, which is 25 rupees, right? Now we have to create a payoff, assuming what happens to the underlying price on the expiry day, right? So I'm going to write underlying price, and let's say I want to create this for 5 prices above and 5 prices below 2500 strike. So I'm going to link this to 2500, and below this I'm going to write 2500 minus the step, whatever the step is. So we get 2450, and I have frozen the step here. Sorry, this needs to get linked to, I've frozen the step here, and we take it up. And here I'm going to add the step, right? So that's frozen the step and take it down for another 5. So we get to this, correct? So we reach these set of data points on the underlying price. Now we can write what is the profit slash loss. We can say premium paid slash received. So whatever is the premium, and we can say total payoff, right? We can do that. Now premium paid is given to us, and because we are saying only buy transactions here, so that's going to be negative of this number, and I can put this and everything else can be linked to that same cell. It's going to remain the same, right? There's no change here. Now logically speaking, I know when the profit starts. The profit will only start above the strike price for a call option, right? It will start above the strike price for a call option. So till here, it'll always be zero. Till here, it'll always be zero. Above this, this is the actual price minus the strike price, correct? And I can freeze it, and that's my profit payoff, right? That's my profit payoff. And total payoff is going to be the sum of these two. So till the time the price is below 2500, I'm going to see a scenario where I'm going to lose money. Above that, I start making money, and I can make unlimited amounts of money provided the stock goes up to that level, right? That's the data that we have. Now, this is hard coded. If I change the data somewhere or I change the option from call to put, that will be a problem. Let's also write total payoff or total buyer payoff and say total seller payoff here. And seller payoff is as per a zero sum game. This is going to be just the negative of the buyer payoff, right? Whatever the buyer wins, the seller loses. Whatever the seller wins, the buyer loses, correct? Now this, remember, is hard coded. I have not yet come up with an equation, right? Ideally, we should have an equation. What is the equation? If it is a call option, then I check if the stock price is greater than the strike price, right? This is for the buyer only, right? And if the answer is yes, then I take the stock minus strike. If the answer is no, which means the stock price is less than the strike price, I will say zero, right? That's if it is call. If it is not call, which means if it is put, then I check if the stock price is greater than the strike price. In the case of a put option, remember, if stock is greater than the strike, that will be worth zero. Else, it will be the profitability will be strike price minus the stock price. Take an example. If let's say we are looking at the 2500 call, if the spot price is 2650, right, then I take stock minus strike. That's 150 is the profit. If the stock price is 2400, if it is call, then it's zero, right? If it was a put option of 2500 and the market price is 2300, then it's not call, so it goes into this loop and we check if stock price is greater than strike. If stock is greater than strike, then we say zero. It is not in this case. The stock price is 2300 and the strike is 2500. So we take strike, which is 25 minus 23. So 200 rupees is the profit if this was a put and the price was 2300. Correct? So that's the equation. There are two if loops within an if loop, right? If call, then if loop, and then this if loop. Correct? So that's what we are going to do here. I'm going to start with the first if, and my if is going to check if this is equals to call, right? If that is true, then I write another if inside this. And in this case, I say if the market price, which is in this case this underlying value, correct? This underlying price value if this is greater than the strike price, I press F4 for the strike price because I'm going to drag this down, comma, then the value has to be the spot price, which is A10 minus the strike price for the call option, remember, correct? Correct? Else it'll be 0, right? So I can type 0, close the first bracket, right? If you look at this, what have we done? If you look at this, what have we done so far? Sorry, that's gone away. So we'll write it again, is equals to if this is equals to call, then if the stock price is greater than the strike price, freeze the strike price, comma, stock minus strike, else 0, close the bracket. Now that's the first bracket done. So in this case, we have, if I open the function, I have done this, value if true. Value if false is going to be another if, and that's going to be if, that's assuming this is going to be a put, right? It can either be a call or a put, right? So in this case, I'm going to write if A10 is greater than B5 and I press F4 here, then it'll be 0. Else it'll be B5 minus A10, right? And I close the bracket. And this value, I need to freeze B5 here, I need to freeze B5 here, I need to freeze B4 here, right? And that's what we get, correct? So if I do this and I double click this, you will see that the answers remain the same. There is no change because each one of them is correctly identifying it, correct? And so that's the value for a call option. If it was a put option, then all these strikes should become profitable. So if I change this to put or anything other than call, then we immediately see that all those strikes become profitable. That's the buyer payoff and that's the seller payoff, right? Now all I need to do is put in this data for a particular set of stocks. Let's identify those. Let's just remove the fill here. Let's figure out what the set of stocks. We'll change this data as we go along, but let's build a chart now. So underlying price, what I want to do is this and total buyer payoff. So I want to cover underlying price and total buyer payoff. Select this set of data and go ahead and insert, let's say, a line chart, right? A 2D line chart. And this is not needed. And my x-axis has to become, I'll make those changes later. Let's go to select data first here. And my horizontal axis categories are going to be these, right? And I click OK. I click OK. That's the payoff we are getting. Two things we need to do when we format the axis. So axis data labels, right? These data labels, I want to show them low. So instead of next to axis, select low so it goes below this. And the second thing I will do is I'll select the axis again, format axis, and in the fill options, the line for the axis, I'm going to change the color to black and I'm going to increase the font, the width of that, right? So that's what we get as the total buyer payoff, right? Till the time the price is above 2500, you make money. Till the time it is below, you lose exactly 25 bucks, right? Now, interestingly, if I were to change this to a put, it should automatically change to the put payoff, right? And similarly, what I can do is I can create a exactly same payoff. I can put this here and maybe we can reduce the size a little bit and we can select the data for underlying price and that for total seller payoff. and we can insert another chart that's going to be exactly a similar chart. I'm going to remove this, not needed. I'm going to look at the axis, select data, horizontal axis category labels is going to be these. Okay, okay, click on right click on axis, right click on this axis, format it. First go to axis labels, and on labels say the label should be low, and on formatting the line, change the line color to black and just increase the width of that. And that's my total seller payoff, right? That's all that is needed. We can basically put them side by side and just change this to a call and see what happens. The call buyer and the call seller payoff. Change this to a put and see what happens. I can change these values to some other option. So let's actually go to the Nifty website. Click on equity derivatives on Nifty website. When you click on this, on the right hand side, you will see this point called option chain on the right hand side. I've just highlighted it as this is here, option chain. Click on option chain. It'll give you the Nifty option values, right? So Nifty, you'll see, has a step of 50, right? So I can basically choose whatever is the Nifty value. The Nifty value is available here. That's 9108. So I can say, let's say I'm looking at a strike price of 9,200, and let's actually just look at the premium of 9,200 call option. That's my 9,200 call option, and the premium is 15 rupees here. That's for this particular month. The month expiry is probably closer by. I can look at the next month and put in the premium of 9,200 as 97 rupees, right? That's 97 rupees. So I'm going to put 97 here for the premium. Let's increase the font size a little bit. The charts can come here because the chart should give us a broader idea about what's happening. Correct. And the step is 50. So that's what we get. If you are in a put option, if you're in a call option, that's your payoff on the expiry day. Correct. We can also change the step. So for example, if this is for a stock whose price is 150, then obviously you can't have underlying price going here. So there you change the step to maybe 10 rupees, right? And maybe the premium that you're finding is going to be something like 8 rupees or something there. And you again get your payoffs there, right? Similarly, you could change it to a put option and you will get the total buyer payoff, where below a certain price, if the stock falls below a certain price, the user starts making money. If the stock does not fall below that price, the buyer of the option loses money, and the seller exactly has an opposite payoff around the same line, right? That's basically what we are looking at. In fact, if you want, we can combine these in the same data set. So I can take this and select data. How do I do that? I add another series name, and the series name is total seller payoff, and the values are from here onwards from 10 till 20. I can select those and I can click on OK, and I can click on OK, and that's what we find. In the same chart, we can get both the payoffs, total buyer and total seller. Consequently, I can remove this. I don't need this. And if you want these to be in colors that are relevant, then I go to Format Data Series and I select the fill of this because that's for the seller. I can choose a certain color. Let's say that's blue only. And for the buyer, I can choose a certain color and I can choose that to be green, let's say. And that basically kind of solves the entire problem, where we have basically the payoff for the buyer and seller in the same chart now. And we can play around with the numbers. We can change the numbers a little bit. We can probably put a call here and see what happens to the call option payoffs. And again, the buyer payoff is in green and seller is in red. I can go back to our initial example of 2,500, 50, and 25. So that's what you're going to see, right? That's basically it. Your payoff is exactly a mirror image on the buyer and the seller side. I can increase the size of this so that it becomes more readable. The break-even point is going to be 25.25, right? That's it in this particular video. Just try building this out. It's just a combination of a lot of if loops, and that's what we have kind of created here. Thank you.